Star Wars 7x7, episode 2579. Who's your favorite character from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story? That's part of the conversation I got to have with the wonderful Dennis Keithley and Jay Krebs over at Podcast Stardust last week. Punch it. Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So, Podcast Stardust. I had the opportunity to be a guest on their show last year when they were doing a year-long deep dive into The Empire Strikes Back in honor of the 40th anniversary, and it was great fun, and I'm so glad that they asked me to come back because they're doing a deep dive this year into Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. And so I was on their show last week, and Dennis and Jay kindly said that it would be cool if I shared a little bit of that conversation here with you. So, the part I decided to share is a conversation about which character is your favorite Rogue One character and why. And so you'll get to hear from me and from Dennis and Jay and what we talked about on Podcast Stardust about it. But the whole episode actually digs fully into a particular section of Rogue One. This conversation about which character you love is just one part of it. In particular, we talked about the scene where the Alliance ships arrive at Edu to bomb the platform, and it's Galen Erso's death scene, and then it's the confrontation between Jyn and Cassian afterward, and everything that happens in between then. So it's a really juicy scene, and the scene with Krennic and Vader having their meeting too. So yeah, it's great stuff, and I will link to the episode in the blog post for this show's episode at sw7x7.com and in the show notes as well. But for now, I hope you will enjoy this excerpt from the conversation where Dennis and Jay and I talk about our favorite Rogue One characters.
Who is your favorite character in Rogue One?
I think I will go with Bodhi Rook on this. It's just a beautiful turn for his character, and seeing him, first of all, just the terror of him arriving on Jeddah and meeting up with Saw Gerrera's people, and getting the sack thrown over his head and kidnapped, just like the fear and what he has to go through, and then getting the Boar Gullet treatment for, oh gosh, that's awful. But like just and surviving that, and talking about, and we're going to talk about this, I think. Oh no, we're not going to talk about it because it's a few minutes before the section we're going to talk about. But he talks about how like he had conversations with Galen Erso about getting right, and that he could get right with himself, with his morals and his life, essentially, by doing what he did for Galen by smuggling the information about the Death Star out. And I suppose you could say, okay, yeah, maybe he was being manipulated a little bit by Galen, but I think that it's probably more accurate that he had his own misgivings about things, and he did a supremely courageous thing to try to get this information out to the people who could do something with it and stop this terrible monstrosity from wreaking havoc on the galaxy. And he continued to step up in the things that he did with the Rogue One team, and I felt like his death was that was the one that kind of hit me the most. Certainly, Chirrut and Baze were tragic in their way, and K2's, but the Bodhi death was the one that I think hit me the hardest.
I think that's 2 votes for Bodhi that we've had, Dennis. Isn't that correct?
I believe so. I haven't been keeping track of all of them, but yeah.
Dude, who's yours?
For me, it's definitely Jyn. And I think that it's because I relate to a lot of the things that she's been through, not on the same type of level, but there's just a fighting spirit that goes along with Jyn, and a naysayer turned believer kind of person. And I just think that is kind of a redemption arc for all of us. She kind of went through her own redemption, her own hero's journey, her own way of coming about to accept hope as part of her existence. So yeah, for me, it's Jyn in a nutshell.
Yeah.
This is a hard one for me to pin down. I've been saying Chirrut, and it's just because he's not quite a Jedi, but he definitely has got some Force sensitivity going on there. But he's just got an insight, and he's blind, and he overcomes that, and he's maintained optimism in the face of his partner there being so negative about things, the state of the galaxy. But one of the things I always appreciate about this movie is that there is a journey and an arc for every single one of the characters in there. And you can just focus on any one of them over the course of the movie and have a fun experience. So that's one of the reasons why this ranks very highly for me as well.
And there you go. That's a snippet of our conversation on Podcast Stardust. And once again, I will have that linked in the blog post for the show's episode at sw7x7.com and in the show notes as well. And that's going to do it for today's episode of this show. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it, as always. And may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.